Welcome, everyone. Today I'm joined by one of my clients, Anna, who has kindly agreed to share her gut health journey with us. And before we started working together, she was struggling with daily bloating, stomach pain, digestive issues, and was worried about what to eat. After completing a food intolerance test and making personalized dietary changes, her symptoms have improved dramatically. So, thank you for being here today, Anna. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
So, do you want to tell us a bit about what life was like with you and your gut health before we started working together?
Yeah, so basically I suffered with pain, like pains in my lower tummy for like honestly years, but I don't know specifically for how long because it would come on and off.
Yeah.
I suffered like extreme bloating all the time.
Mm.
Um, then like I would go through like some days like my bowels were good, some days they weren't. But I feel like I never really had like that flat stomach where I was just like fine because it was just so on and off.
Mm.
Um, and I never knew what the cause was. I used to always like when I'd get bloated and stuff, I'd be using like castor oil and everything to try to get rid of it. But then I just get it the next day and it was just constant.
Mm.
Yeah.
Perfect. And how often were you experiencing symptoms?
God, I would probably say every second day.
Yeah.
Because along with the bloating, I also suffer with acne, which I've had for 10 years. So my
Mm.
acne would be like very cystic. So I've had that since I was 12. And
Yeah.
then the bloating would come on and off probably every second day, along with just like irregular bowel movements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. And when you got a flare, then what was that like for you?
Yeah, when I got a flare up, it would could last for 3 or 4 days,
Mhm.
where my tummy was just so bloated and it was just like such extreme pain that like I couldn't really do much. It was a pain in my lower tummy. Um, I would have like no energy, and no matter what I did, it wouldn't calm down until like 4 days later. I would also make me like even like energy, everything wise, I would be like
Mhm.
not as calm as I usually am. Like I could just feel it nearly like spiking my nervous system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. And how was it affecting your life? Did it affect your socializing and eating out?
Yeah, 100%. I used to, because I obviously never knew what the cause was. So I used to go out for, say, like a pint or a drink, or I'd have a pizza with my friends, and then
Mm.
like automatically my tummy would be swollen and I would just be in pain for the rest of the night.
Mm.
And it's funny because I used to actually think, sometimes I used to think the pain was hunger. So then I'd eat more and I'd make it worse. But it was because it was also so unpredictable.
Yeah.
Or I'd be wearing clothes that like when you get bloated, it's just like uncomfortable because I've no room to be. And yeah, it just made life very unpredictable and more difficult.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
And what was the point when you realized that you can't keep living like this?
I think the point I realized was when I had such a bad flare up and I could feel that my gut was affecting like my stress levels
Mm.
so much because of being in pain for like consecutive days.
Yeah.
And I'd be starting to get like stressed about things that like weren't stressful. I kind of tuned in and realized it was my gut and it wasn't me, and that
Yeah.
these are two separate things, but I just didn't know how to fix it.
Mm. Yeah. And what had you tried to do before we started working together?
Well, like in terms of skin, I tried because of obviously like my gut has affected my acne.
Mm.
So I've tried everything like retinoids, topicals, antibiotics. Um, gut, I actually did like a gluten-free diet because like I before I did the food test, I didn't know specifically what it was, but I guessed it could be gluten or wheat.
Yeah.
So I was doing a gluten-free diet for a couple of months before I started, and which calmed it down a little bit, but like it was still going on. So I was
Yeah.
like, why am I doing a gluten-free diet and still having pain?
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you find that quite frustrating?
Yeah, 100%. Because when you don't know what it's causing, but then you're still restricting yourself
Yeah.
and already making life more difficult for yourself because of the restriction, but then it doesn't come with any of the the good outcomes. So you're just
Mm,
restricting for no reason and then still having pain.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And how did it make you feel emotionally? Did it make you feel confused or overwhelmed?
Yeah, 100%. It made me feel definitely overwhelmed because I know like even with my skin,
Mm,
it's one of those things that it's really, really hard to figure out the root cause.
yeah,
So then when I started getting tummy problems as well, it everything was combined, but I just couldn't figure out the root cause. So it just felt like there was no winning, you know.
yeah. Yeah. And what made you reach out to me then?
I think I reached out to you when I realized that I couldn't go on my own anymore, and
Mm,
that the only option I have, like I couldn't live like that anymore in constant pain and suffering with my skin and my moods because of the gut issues, because it
yeah.
does affect your mood and your energy, that I'm not able to do it on my own and I need support and I need answers in
Hmm.
order to actually move on with my life because I knew if I just like kept that way, it would just get worse.
Yeah.
And just keep ignoring the issue, even if it's
Mm,
difficult to go to the root cause, I just couldn't do it anymore. There was no other option.
yeah. Very good. And did you have any hesitations before booking the first call?
I did have some hesitations just in terms of like I didn't know how hard it was going to be in
Mm,
terms of what would come up um in my food test. Like
mm,
I did like everything could have come up or nothing could
mm,
have come up, which was also a worry for me because if nothing
yeah.
came up, then I really wouldn't have known what was wrong with me. So I
Yeah.
was actually glad when things came up. But yeah,
And what was the experience of doing the food intolerance test like for you?
the food intolerance test was honestly a huge relief for me. Because I think it's easy to say, like, especially nowadays, like with social media and everything, everyone's like throwing supplements at you, throwing products at you. But at the end of the day, the food intolerance test shows it's just facts. It shows exactly what your body is saying, exactly what you
Hmm.
can't eat. So there's no, like it's like it's just facts.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a relief I was very surprised to see what I was intolerant to.
Yeah.
Um, but it was also a relief because could have been worse, but also it was nice to know that like my pain was actually like valid and real, and it was because of the like food I was eating for
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Yeah. So on your report, we had wheat, egg white, yeast, and carrot, poor little carrot on there as well.
Yeah.
Which did you find the most surprising on that list?
Um, Probably yeast.
Hmm.
Um, like carrot is obviously very odd. I found that surprising because I don't eat many carrots anyway, so I don't even know how that came about.
Yeah.
Um, but yeast was very surprising for me because I would have never even registered being
Hmm.
intolerant to yeast. And for me, I think that's like been the hardest thing to avoid because
Yeah.
it's just everywhere.
Hmm.
So that definitely surprised me. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. And unfortunately, that included your favorite peanut butter at the time as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you see peanut butter every single day, and that's the thing. How many things yeast was in as well shocked me because
Yes.
like I'd be eating my bowl of porridge with peanut butter thinking I'm and fruit thinking I'm eating really healthy, but the peanut butter was causing pain. So
Hmm.
I would have never been able to figure that out without the food test.
No, we wouldn't have guessed that, would we? We wouldn't
No,
have. And
no.
even eggs as well. They're always surprising that they come up on tests for some people.
Yeah, yeah.
So once we had your results, then what changes did you make?
So once I had the results, I stopped eating obviously all those foods
Mm,
with wheat, yeast, egg whites, and carrots. And then slowly, like every week, we did bring in new changes.
yeah,
So all the changes I did was big thing was walking after meals, which I've gotten
yeah,
to a big habit of. drinking water before and after meals, and just trying to have like my breakfast, lunch, and dinner and not snacking to give
Yeah.
my body a chance to digest. They were
Mhm.
probably like the biggest things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, like t taking the food completely out of my diet was like the biggest, but
Yeah.
they came along with that.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
And what surprised you most?
About the results or the
Around the changes that you made then, like, in terms of like noticing improvements, where did you feel the
okay.
biggest change came from?
Wow. The biggest change is probably obviously taking the food out is
Yeah.
the biggest, but the
Mm.
other two was slowing down my eating and walking after meals. Because even when I wasn't eating those foods and I was avoiding wheat and yeast, I was still having pain if I my gut is so was so sensitive
Yeah.
that even if I avoided those foods, if I didn't go for my walk that day after eating, or if I ate too fast, my
Hmm.
gut was so sensitive that I would still have pain.
Yeah.
So those things were necessary. Everything was combined. It all works together.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. And how quickly then did you notice improvements after the food intolerance test?
Oh God, let me think. Definitely like a couple of weeks. It took me, I was very impatient in fairness. Um, Probably I started seeing like actual improvement after maybe 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's when I noticed that after I ate, I wasn't bloated, my tummy was still flat.
Mm.
My pain completely reduced. Now my pain reduced immediately.
Yeah.
Um, but it does take a while for you to notice improvements because I think sometimes you forget how bad were in the beginning, that I
Yes.
was suffering every single day, and you actually forget how much better you are until you actually reach the
Hmm.
point where you're like, okay, it actually has been like days since I've experienced that.
Yeah.
So I think it takes like you need like a good few days of like no pain, no blips to be like,
Yeah.
oh wow, like this is very different. And I know a huge thing for me as well is like I just noticed how much calmer I was,
Mm.
because it was no longer affecting my nervous system.
Yeah.
Um, and I think people even like started saying it to me how much like calmer I am. And I
Hmm.
felt it myself because I wasn't in pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's huge. So we're now at week 12. How is your stomach now after meals?
Yeah, my stomach is much better. Um, like definitely still have to walk after my meals, but like it's
Mm.
flat. My bloating is like, rarely get bloated as much as I did. Um, yeah, I can just feel much better. I wouldn't have the same pain.
Mm.
Um, yeah, my energy levels have gone up. Um, yeah, my skin is definitely cleared up as well. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Your
yeah,
skin looks great today, and that's
thank
even on
you.
camera. So
Thank you. The
it's
sun's
a
coming and
big change.
shining on me.
Bringing about a natural glow for you, which
Yeah,
is really nice.
yeah, yeah.
And what about your confidence around food and what choices you can make? How has that changed for you?
I think definitely in the beginning it's very hard to get grips of what you can and can't eat.
Mm.
Especially for me, like I wouldn't find wheat as bad because everything's labeled, but
Yes.
yeast was harder because it wasn't labeled. But you get
Mm.
into a rhythm of just knowing what you can eat.
Yes.
After a couple of weeks, it does become easier because you get into a routine
Yeah.
of eating these specific foods, and you no longer crave the food you were eating before because your body just gets used to it. Um,
Mm.
so in the beginning, like all of the discipline of saying no, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
Especially when you start noticing results because you're feeling better, you
Mm.
want to choose the right foods
Yeah.
because you're getting results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in terms of, because there was a couple of meal plans as well, did they help in terms of what to eat and your confidence around eating?
Yeah, 100%. I think you definitely need the meal plans as a support.
Mm.
Um, it depends like if you're even if you're if you are a good cook, a lot of the foods that you kind of start eating depending on your food test are kind of like ingredients based. So it's very helpful to have the meal plan. And also just in terms of like if you're not completely aware of what makes up a balanced meal,
Yeah.
and like the amount of fiber and protein that you actually need to heal your gut and what
Mm.
foods you need to bring in to actually heal your gut. For example, like we got to the point where I started introducing cabbage to start healing my gut lining. And that was after doing like different meal plans. And I know
Mm.
the other thing I've learned is just like how important variety is,
Yes.
because I know a lot of people would kind of see like, oh, but I'm eating salmon, broccoli, and rice every day. It's healthy. And
Yeah.
I've discovered that it's varieties that is the most important to actually heal your gut. So that's why the food plans would have definitely helped.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, because that's what it gives you. You get the instant variety, you get selection,
Yeah,
and then there's the freedom to use it as inspiration, like you did with,
yeah,
going to cookbooks and your mom's recipes and different things like that. So
yeah.
still sticking to the principles, but having a bit of variety and flexibility with it as well.
Yeah.
Perfect. So if you compare yourself to now to 12 weeks ago, how has everything changed for you?
Wow. Wow, I would honestly say, yeah. I would say as I've mentioned before, my moods have in like so much better, which I think is something you wouldn't even think about,
Mm.
when you
Yeah.
don't realize how much your gut affects your mind because of the gut and brain connect. Um, so as I've said before, I'm much calmer, I'm sleeping better,
Mm.
I've more energy, my tummy's flat after I eat. I'm no longer having to like cancel plans or worried about, plans because I have sore tummies. Like I have a lot more independence with my life
Mm.
because I'm not in pain all the time. Um, so I feel like I feel a lot more like before when I was in pain, I'd also have a lot of like brain fog and everything. So sorry, move out of the sun there. Even when I'm in work, I feel like I can concentrate better.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, which is kind of mad because you wouldn't realize how much it affects you until you start your coming out of it and you realize how much it affected your life before.
Yeah,
And I just couldn't have gone on like that. So yeah,
perfect. And if somebody's watching this who feels exactly how you felt 12 weeks ago, what would you say to them?
I would say that if you're having pain, or you're having problems with your skin, or you're having problems, even with stress or anxiety from your gut,
Mm.
there is no point in running from it because at the end of the day, it's not going to go anywhere. It's only going to get worse. So I think
Mm.
it's important to, as soon as you find out about it, face it head on and find your solutions because, it's impacting your life too much.
Yeah.
And it's just not worth it because, like obviously it's a restrictive diet you're going on and it can be difficult, but
Yeah.
those few weeks are so much more beneficial to your entire quality of life
Mm.
than just ignoring it and being in pain and having bad skin and having bad moods and I could go on forever,
Mm.
so yeah, I would just say it's not going anywhere. It's only going to get worse. So I would definitely say just go for it and help yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Excellent. And what was it like working together?
it's great. It's great. Sorry, the lights come in there. Yeah, I definitely thought Rachel was extremely supportive. It was kind of like given to me as we'll do, um, weekly catch-ups in terms of like every 2 weeks. But if I need to, ask her like anything, if I ever have any issues, it's like, constant support, like an email away, any
Mm.
questions. I also think that like Rachel is Rachel, you super, super knowledgeable um about food digestion. Any question I could ask, she
Yeah.
has the answer and the why and the why. And I'm very curious person myself, and I'm fascinated with like nutrition and everything anyway. So I love getting the answers to everything, which she had. Um, So yeah, I think it was a really great experience overall. And yeah, I'm delighted.
Perfect. No, that's great. And it's always rewarding as well, seeing clients like yourself putting the work in. Yes, it can be challenging, but you've got the results now. And then the next step we will be looking at is reintroducing the foods that you took out of your diet. So it's not restricted forever. A lot of people have that misconception where they take foods out and they can never eat them again, but that's not the case. And we'll be slowly working now. Your gut will be ready for them shortly, and you'll have that food freedom back in your life.
Yeah, delighted.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So, thanks for sharing your story. And I know it's going to help so many people that realize that they don't have to put up with digestive symptoms. And it's always something I want to bang the drum on. So, if you're watching this and you recognize yourself in today's conversation, whether it's bloating, stomach pain, digestive issues, or not knowing what to eat, you don't have to figure it out alone. And I'll leave details below, and you can learn more about the testing and the personal support I offer.